If you don't have anything to say, you blab. You just go on and 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 on.
Voters do not agree with these despicable women on The View. They are wildly out of touch with the vast majority of Americans, and frankly, they should seek immediate help.
Things spiraled out of control on The View when Caroline Leavitt dropped an explosive truth bomb live on air. The hosts were left scrambling in panic, completely caught off guard as the tension reached a boiling point right in front of millions. Caroline's jaw-dropping revelation didn't just shake the table. It flipped it with a vengeance. Now the entire media world is buzzing, and the future of the show suddenly looks very uncertain. This showdown didn't come out of thin air. Caroline's fearless rise in politics had already rattled the hosts, and this time they couldn't handle the heat. What began as petty snark turned into a humiliating live TV meltdown. As Trump's press secretary, Caroline was no stranger to attacks from Democrats in the media. But instead of crumbling, she came back even stronger. And now, The View is the one facing the fire. The backlash is hitting hard. The hosts' reputations are crashing down, all because Caroline refused to stay silent and played their game with more guts than they ever expected. Take Joy Behar. She talks nonstop about empowering women, but she crossed a serious line when she tried to reduce Caroline's entire career to just her appearance. That moment tore the mask off everything: the hypocrisy, the double standards, the empty slogans. How can someone who claims to uplift women try to crush a young, successful one on live television? But Caroline didn't flinch. She stood her ground and exposed them all, loud voices hiding behind a curtain of fake virtue.
She's probably been put in there because, according to Donald Trump, she's a 10. You know that's what it is.
These women are completely out of touch with reality, and you're right, ABC should wake up.
But here's the real question. If Caroline's a 10, then where does that leave Joy? Naturally, Greg Gutfeld from Fox News couldn't hold back. He swooped in with a savage punchline that landed like a thunderbolt and set social media on fire. His remark was razor-sharp, and the timing absolutely perfect. The internet exploded with laughter, and the buzz still hasn't died down.
Joy Behar calls her a 10. I mean, how dare she objectify a woman with a sexist rating system, but it's such a typical thing from a 1.5.
But Caroline wasn't finished, far from it. She went straight for the heart of what she called the Democratic propaganda machine and didn't hold back. She made it crystal clear: get on board with the Trump movement or get left behind. She warned that once Trump is done cleaning house, they won't have any TV tricks or media distractions left to hide behind. Their so-called relevance? It's running on fumes. The silence on The View said it all. That truth hit them hard, like a slap they never saw coming. And it's obvious to anyone watching, they're jealous. Caroline is younger, sharper, and clearly more deserving. After Joy's snarky jab, Whoopi Goldberg tried to step in and shift the tone, jumping into full-on mother hen mode, scolding Caroline for not being tolerant enough of so-called weakness. But let's be real, Whoopi wasn't sharing wisdom, she was damage controlling. She saw the disaster unfolding and tried to soften the blow, but Caroline wasn't having it. Then came the viral moment. Whoopi tried to mix up civil rights with wokeness, acting like they were the same thing. Caroline didn't let it slide for even a second. With calm, clear precision, she exposed Whoopi's faulty logic. Either Whoopi didn't know the difference, or she was trying to mislead her entire audience. And from the look on Whoopi's face, that one stung.
Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists, but they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of years.
If Whoopi truly stood for women's rights, then why didn't she speak up when Joy Behar tried to reduce Caroline's accomplishments to nothing more than her looks? That deafening silence said it all, and it spoke volumes. Instead of stepping up and holding her co-host accountable, Whoopi chose to stay quiet. Her so-called moral compass? It only seems to point left, and only when it suits her narrative. Instead of defending a young woman's right to be respected, Whoopi turned against Caroline. She attacked the 27-year-old right after Caroline boldly used her first White House press conference to call out the media for abandoning everyday Americans. And true to form, Whoopi didn't confront the issue. She dodged it completely. She dragged the conversation into identity politics, playing the race card to deflect from the real problem. It's the same tired move. Change the subject the moment things get uncomfortable. But Caroline didn't back down. She stood her ground and struck back. She called out The View directly for pushing outrageous, baseless claims, like when they tried to float the idea that Elon Musk was nearly assassinated. Caroline exposed it for what it was: sensationalism and spin. She didn't just question their statements, she tore the mask off their hypocrisy. These hosts love to talk about accountability, but the moment a false story helps their side, they run with it without a second thought. And she reminded them, loudly and clearly, that the media used to tell an entirely different story. Now, desperate to stay in control, they twist reality to suit their own agenda.
President Trump is back, and the golden age of America has most definitely begun.
Caroline wasn't about to let them get away with their usual tricks. For years, The View and other old-school media giants pushed their own stories, silenced opposing voices, and shaped public opinion without ever facing real consequences. But that era is crumbling fast. Thanks to Caroline's fearless stand, the cracks in their media fortress are beginning to show. Her demand for true accountability is shaking the foundation of their carefully guarded empire. And they're panicking. Without their grip on the narrative, their whole machine is unraveling. Caroline flipped the script, and now The View is in full-blown meltdown mode. But she didn't just talk. She delivered action. Caroline brought a seismic change to the White House press room, a new section dedicated to holding legacy media responsible for years of anti-Trump bias. We will call you out when we feel your reporting is wrong, or there is misinformation about this White House, she boldly announced, and the message hit like a thunderclap. For decades, outlets like the Associated Press and the White House Correspondents Association controlled the questions and shaped the headlines. But that control is slipping away fast. Caroline made a bold move. 2 coveted front-row seats, once saved for staff, are now reserved for independent voices ready to challenge the status quo. And just when the establishment thought it couldn't get worse, Caroline dropped another bombshell, restoring press passes to 440 journalists who were unfairly banned during the Biden years. While many hailed it as a win for transparency and fairness, the ladies of The View were furious. Sunny Hostin mocked the inclusion of new voices, sneering like only the media elite deserved to speak. Then, Whoopi jumped in with her trademark smugness, warning that people would just spout stuff under this new system. The hypocrisy was staggering. Mainstream media has been spouting stuff unchecked for years. Now that someone's finally turning the spotlight back on them, they're suddenly crying foul.
But that lady, that new press secretary, she's a
that video, dude.
She's a gangster. They're prepared. And you know why they're prepared? Because they're trying to play gotcha.
Yep.
So she played gotcha with them. She checkmated them.
She came in there with that f***ing Elon Musk flamethrower.
Play that video.
But this isn't about journalism. It's about losing control. The View has built its empire on swaying public opinion, but that influence is crumbling, and they can feel it slipping through their fingers. Caroline exposed that fear, and now millions of Americans are waking up and turning elsewhere for the truth. Caroline Leavitt, the youngest press secretary in U.S. history, isn't holding back. She declared loud and clear, "We will call you out when we feel your reporting is wrong or there is misinformation about this White House." And The View? They're finally sweating. For years, they attacked anyone who didn't play by their script. But Caroline isn't playing along. She's blowing the whistle, and the legacy media is officially on alert. The reign of one-sided storytelling is cracking at the seams. And let's not forget, Caroline didn't just step into the role, she replaced Karine Jean-Pierre, who often leaned more on identity than results. Caroline is showing what real leadership looks like: tough, clear, and unshakable. When cheap insults failed, The View tried to trap her with a sneaky immigration question, but it backfired spectacularly. They thought they had her boxed in. They didn't. Caroline clapped back with confidence and sent them scrambling for words. She didn't stutter, she made it plain. In Trump's America, law-abiding citizens come first. And with that, The View's entire setup came crashing down. But instead of owning the failure, the hosts retreated to the same tired talking points, desperate to corner someone they couldn't control. They pretend to fight for justice, but this was never about immigrants. It was about taking down a woman who stood her ground. Caroline stood tall and left them visibly shaken. She's not just taking on The View, she's confronting the entire media machine head-on. And every time they trip up, they prove exactly what she's been saying all along. So the question is, are we watching the fall of mainstream media's iron grip?